And now it's time for another interesting story in the world of dating here on When I'm Not Podcasting. I know some of you really enjoy when I get to these kind of stories. Newsweek put out a story from Dr. Marriott Jansen. I learned how to spot narcissists on a first date. So she talks about how she discovered the concept of narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder and its devastating impact on others. The traits can include grandiosity, a need for admiration and to be the center of attention, as well as a sense of entitlement, envy, self-importance, and a lack of empathy for others. And learning this helped me make sense of my experiences and validate myself. So my knowledge of narcissism, she says, has helped me to recognize it in relationships described to me by my clients in sessions and pointing out emotional abuse they have been subjected to. So she became aware through her work as a therapist and coach that narcissists often give themselves away before they step into a relationship. The red flags come into play, and I've heard this a lot. The first tentative meeting can offer clues to the narcissistic traits and behaviors that will be relieved in a subsequent relationship. And guys, if you don't want to be tagged with a red flag, if you're a nice guy, you do not want to be doing this. So here are some of the things you need to realize. Narcissistic tendencies that play out on the first date. While not all incidents involving this type of behavior will indicate narcissism, but now that you're going to read the story, one of these examples she uses occurred with clients who wanted to have relationships with people who displayed many other narcissistic traits. So the signs you might be dating a narcissist, or you might be going on a first date with a narcissist. Number one, can they control you? Are you willing to adapt and easy to manipulate? So a narcissist is typically addicted to narcissistic supply, a desire for constant admiration and attention. Being involved in a romantic relationship with a partner who is willing to give what you need and who you are able to control can often provide that supply. Gaining control can mean undermining that partner's confidence and feeding their insecurity, all while making them believe that the narcissist is the one. So look at that. Admiration and attention. Again, when to feed off that person's energy, right? And give you what you need and who you're able to control. Keep that in mind. Now, one of her clients felt confused about a relationship. Even though she accommodated her partner as much as she could, she never seemed to get it right. So again, if you are a people pleaser, ladies, or if you're a people pleaser, guys, you have to realize that a woman can, or a man definitely could make you feel like you're inadequate or you're not doing good enough. And they will force you to use narcissism. And listen, I'll tell you, being the recovering nice guy, I can tell you that I put that red flag out. I'm not afraid to say it. I have been that. I have been narcissistic. And I did it, and I shouldn't have. And I feel bad that I did it. Just saying. But I don't date right now. I haven't been dating for a long time. I did try to go back on the dating scene earlier this year. And you know what? I didn't feel like I was finding anybody that I wanted. Because unfortunately, I feel like I need to feel, if I do find somebody, I want a people pleaser. But I also don't want to be the narcissist this time. At this point, I want somebody that is a people pleaser that I can appreciate this time around. I don't want to be narcissistic, or in some cases, some people might say or one girl that tried to say I was sociopathic. But, you know, again, narcissistic, sociopath, it comes one and the same. And you know what? Probably that time, because I was so pent up and frustrated over relationships that I did not have, feeling like I gave more than what I ever got, that's what made me always decide not to go ahead and get in relationships afterwards or to self-destruct somebody I was with. Because I did that. And I'm sure if you realize that, if you're dating somebody, if they're narcissistic, they're going to try to go ahead and break things off and try to give you the clues that they want to break it off and not make anything go further, because they're almost like subconsciously trying to stop the inevitable from happening. And if you can't help yourself as the people pleaser to try to please somebody, they're not going to take advantage of that. Just telling you. Number two, do they show immediately they need you to be empathic, kind, and willing to forgive others? Narcissists naturally attract empathic people who, because empaths are beneficial to the narcissist, they need to make sure they can continue to behave as they wish. So again, submissive or compliant and kind of gopher, if you will. That's a bad way to say it, but it's true. One of her clients was struggling with her partner because she often seemed to be making excuses for his unpleasant and abusive behavior, saying it only happened when he is tired or that he wasn't that important to her. And then she told a story, and they went for a walk, and soon after they set off, they came across a jumpy dog that a couple was walking around. When the dog jumped up, my client's date jumped away, shouting abuse at the couple. His reaction felt out of proportion, and my client told me she was taken aback by the force of it. As they walked on, he told her he hated it when people took on more than they could handle, and subsequently made others pay the price. You know what? I know this too, because in the same way, if I hear a baby crying, or if a baby or like a young boy or girl is misbehaving and just making a ruckus around the house, I know I would be upset by that and it would bother me. I don't think I ever snapped back at anybody about that. But again, this guy did, right? But he was also upset that he upset my client, and then she then comforted him, and he was extremely understanding. So again, he did calm down. And despite not understanding this behavior, she soothed him. So again, because she was so people-pleasing, she nurtured. And she basically fed the narcissist the attention and the affirmation that he wanted, and the admiration he wanted as well. What I believe to be his narcissistic traits and this pattern of requiring her to soothe him continue throughout the relationship. And it'll just get worse. Number 3, is your date putting themselves above you, needing admiration or to be the center of attention? Narcissists typically thrive on being the center of attention, and I've noticed through conversations with clients that on a first date, they can test to see if they will receive the attention they need. One of her clients was in so awe of his girlfriend, he didn't mind their first date completely revolved around her. He took in every word she said and nodded at the right times, totally engrossed. Only later did he realize that she hadn't asked a single question about him or his work. Now, here's the thing about that. Because a lot of guys are always told, you want the girl to talk. You want her to feel comfortable around you. Well, here's the thing, too, is that in this case, makes sense what she's saying here, but also it's the idea that we always get hearing, especially on TikTok videos, everybody feels like they're a dating expert. They always talk about, no, don't, you want her to do the talking. You want her to be the one that, you want to, as a guy, you need to show mystery. You need to be mysterious. You need to not show all your whole hand. It's like both sides need to play the same way, right? You need to have something left over for the next date and the next date after that. There's got to be a lot of things you could talk about and a lot of reasons you want to be together. And a lot of things that you like or, that you relate to or you can find in common, things like that. So with all that said, this is understood, but then again, it could be because that person might not be necessarily narcissistic. It's because of the fact that they're just trying to go ahead and hopefully try to get to the next date. So let her talk, listen to her, and pay attention. And then he realized that she hadn't asked a single question about him or his work. So the other thing, too, is that for the woman to find out that he's not center of attention is that the woman needs to go ahead and offer the interaction. She just can't get the validation or the attention and not try to offer a little bit back in return and try to show that she has some interest in him. Or the guy's going to interpret it as, hey, you just came for a free meal. Or that I'm paying to spend time with you. It's like that kind of thought process will come into mind. I know I did that. I remember I told one girl that all I did was just go and got together with her, meet over a meal. And I said one time, I was like, well, I feel like all I'm doing is just paying to spend time with you. And she got upset and she left. And because I got upset with her. And that was a pretty bad thing to say. So for her to walk out on me, yeah, that makes sense. But the idea was that now the guys need to understand as well, is that you're also picking the wrong women. I mean, you're finding a woman that might be on a pedestal that you love or that you're in awe of, and you're trying to go and hold on to her. But then what you're doing is that you're also realizing, oh, I picked the wrong woman. Because the woman's not actually genuinely equally interested in you. And that's what you're supposed to find. You're supposed to find somebody that is like-minded, that does appreciate your time as well. It just can't be one-sided. And that goes for both ways. So keep that in mind. Now, her client didn't mind, at least not at the time. In general, he didn't need to play the first fiddle all the time. He's laid back and happy for others to do the talking. But my client began to feel devalued in the relationship. Whenever he wanted to discuss situations that revolved around him, his partner was dismissive. He didn't want to be controlled or silenced by his partner, and when he noticed how unbalanced the relationship was, he ended it. Narcissists often looking for partners they can mold and they don't want an ego to compete with. Number 4. Is your date showing signs they want someone to rescue them? Interesting. So normally I've been the knight in shining armor looking to rescue the damsel in distress. That's what I've always been. I've always wanted to be the rescuer. That's what the nice guy always is. So in the narcissist case, he's looking for a partner that will come to his rescue or her rescue, the narcissist rescue. Someone who will take the blame and responsibility and focus all their efforts on the narcissist's happiness. One of her clients, the minute she struggled to say no and she couldn't accommodate someone, she felt it was her fault and she lost sleep over it. So now the guilt comes in because of the guilt that's being created, the guilt trip being created by the narcissist. On her date with her first current boyfriend, it became clear that he felt life always was against him. So the victim card gets played. Negative in his outlook. Took a while to get to a point where my client could recognize that there was codependency at play. She was caught in a trap of trying to fix her partner and seemingly narcissistic tendencies. Then she had to face it and build up her self-awareness and confidence. She's still with her partner, but luckily she's a much stronger person now, so she fought back. And they were able to make it work out. Interesting. So educating others to the signs of narcissism in the early stages of a relationship is important, as it might prevent the involvement and development of damaging and often abusive relationships, those with a narcissist. Be careful of this, guys. This is important. If you are dating, this is the kind of stuff you need to learn and understand. So keep this all in mind. I'll leave it there. Don't be a narcissist. Don't date a narcissist or learn the signs. You already got them. From yours truly. I'll talk to you next time.